Hello, this is my Genius Hour lesson plan for my 7th grade AC ELA students. For this unit, students took on the roles of explorers, teachers, and producers as they researched and designed a project based on their own interest. I wanted students to have time to work on their own passions in a way that melded well with the standards. Students were given every Friday in class to work on their own projects. The summative for this semester was a Shark Tank presentation where students would share their project idea to the class. Students were graded on both the written and oral components of this project using a rubric. Students needed to not only explain their topic, but also how it would impact the community, what their final product would look like, and what their steps were to complete the project. This project lends itself well to the ELA standards, but it also is great because it is easy to become multidisciplinary based on what the students are passionate about. Many students are using science, social studies, and technology standards during their projects, and many have other disciplinary teachers as their mentors. Throughout this project, several digital tools were used during the formative assessments. Students used Office 365 forms to share their project ideas with me. So this was one of the first steps, and they filled out the form, and this helped them see if their project was viable and also helped me assess how I could help them go on with their project. Students then gathered all of their research and they put it into an annotated bibliography through Padlet. So through Padlet, this is where they were able to collaborate and make comments on one another's Padlets, but also they started grouping themselves. So if their projects were very similar, they could start working in partners or groups of 3 together for their final product. Students were taught in both whole group and small group instruction, depending on the needs of the students. Students that were struggling were given a list of possible topics and shown examples of other Genius Hour projects to inspire them. There was also more one-on-one conferencing with the teacher. Students that struggled with organization were given organizers and templates to help them. There was also a timeline put in place to help guide all of the students. Students ready for acceleration were given the next step of instruction so that they could move on with their project. To prepare for this unit, I made sure that I was comfortable with all of the tools that I would suggest them to use. So I looked into Padlet and ThingLink, etc. I also met with our technology coordinator to learn more about the laptops in my class. So our class has a set of 30 laptops and 2 desktops for every student. And with that tutorial with my coordinator, I was able to really troubleshoot a lot of the problems. The most common one being that the Wi-Fi disconnected a lot, and so I was able to help that with the students. Digital equity, all but 2 of my students have internet access at home. I worked very closely with the 2 students that didn't and either allowed them to come early for tutoring or after school, so that way they would have access if they couldn't go to the local library. So for the Shark Tank presentations, which was their final for the semester, they were asked to present their information to the class. Students were able to use Sway, ThingLink, Biteable, PowerPoint, anything that they wanted to do to get the written component finished. Students were graded on these with a rubric, and so some students used Sway, some used ThingLink, some used Biteable. It really just depended what they wanted to do. And so they got a speaking and listening grade for this. After the summative, so where we're at right now is that students are now posting and reflecting through their digital portfolio through Seesaw, and they're answering reflective questions. So they're going to start actually making their product next semester, and so we're kind of seeing where they're at now. I'm also having one-on-one conferences to meet with each student to make sure they're ready for the next semester. Common problems that I had were students still not understanding like copyrighted images. So we're going to reteach at the beginning of next semester. And then also students being off task. So they had the laptops, they're playing Cool Math, etc. So what I did was assign accountability partners so that they could check in weekly and then also kind of be like, hey dude, get off Cool Math. And then I also implemented this timeline project so that way they knew when everything was due. And with this chunking with the timeline, even the lower motivated students were able to do it. And overall, I recommend Genius Hour projects, and I can't wait to get started with part 2.